says this here school is for instructions in the martial arts. So we thought we might get some lessons.
Ni hao, konnichiwa, sawadee kap, and annyeong haseo. Welcome to the 80's Emporium, your dojo for everything 80's. I'm Dan, and I'll be your sensei today, as we take a look back at the rise of the martial arts film genre in the United States in the 1980s. In this episode, which is part 1 of our series on 80s martial arts movies, we'll discuss the genre's early roots in East Asia, the arrival of kung fu movies in the US, the impacts of Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris, the differences between Enter the Dragon, The Way of the Dragon, Return of the Dragon, and The Last Dragon, as well as the Karate Kid Craze. So grab your nunchucks and bow staff. The 80's Emporium starts now! Martial arts in cinema can be traced back to 1938's The Adventures of Fong Sai-yuk, although sadly no copies of that film are still in existence today. The earliest martial arts film that we can see is 1943's Sugata Sanshiro, a movie about judo and jiu-jitsu directed by legendary director Akira Kurosawa. In the 50s and 60s, much of the Hong Kong martial arts films could be classified as being in the wuxia genre, which are martial arts films that included an added supernatural element, such as people flying or having magical powers. One example of a modern wuxia film is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. But in the 1970s, a more grounded type of martial arts film came to popularity, where heroes had no powers other than their own fighting skills. This genre was simply called the Kung Fu movie,
Kung Fu,
or Zhen Gong Fu, which translates to real skill. So how did the martial arts film get from Hong Kong to the United States?
yes, America.
The so-called Kung Fu craze that occurred in the US is often attributed to Warner Brothers' release of the Hong Kong film King Boxer, which was retitled to Five Fingers of Death for American audiences. Produced by Shaw Brothers, which was the biggest studio in Hong Kong at the time, Five Fingers of Death was a hit, and more martial arts films were brought to the US to appease the new fans. Many of these films were dubbed in English and shown on television. These films would be grouped together in time slots that were popularly referred to as Kung Fu theater. One film in particular took America by storm, 1973's Enter the Dragon, a US-Hong Kong co-production that is considered to be the first Hollywood Kung Fu movie. The film was directed by Robert Clouse, who was a 2-time Oscar nominee for his short films. Enter the Dragon starred Bruce Lee as a spy who enters a martial arts tournament in order to infiltrate a drug lord's fortress. The film also featured American actor and martial artist Jim Kelly and longtime actor John Saxon. It was a major success and to date has earned $350 million, including its several re-releases. The budget, only $850,000. That means the movie has earned 400 times its original budget. In addition to being the most successful martial arts film of all time, it is also highly regarded as one of the best and most influential films of the genre.
I admire your judgment.
After the success of Enter the Dragon, it was clear that the American public was desperate for more Bruce Lee. But Lee had sadly passed away only 6 days before Enter the Dragon was released, at the young age of 32. So in 1974, US theaters released a Bruce Lee martial arts film that had actually come out in Hong Kong 2 years earlier. The Way of the Dragon, which was redubbed in English and retitled to Return of the Dragon to make it seem like a sequel, earned $85 million in the US. Co-starring alongside Bruce Lee was an American colleague of his, a little-known martial artist by the name of Chuck Norris. Carlos Ray Norris joined the U.S. Air Force in 1958 and was stationed in South Korea. There, Carlos, or Chuck, gained an interest in martial arts, and after a stint in the military, competed in karate internationally. And that is where Chuck Norris met Bruce Lee. In 1978, sensing that Americans were hungry for more martial arts movies, Chuck Norris came up with a story for a new karate film, but no studio wanted to make it. So along with 3 independent producers, Norris made 1978's Good Guys Wear Black. The film grossed $18 million on only a $1 million budget and helped launch Norris's career as a martial arts movie star throughout the early 80s. Norris's martial arts films included The Octagon, An Eye for an Eye, Silent Rage, Forced Vengeance, and perhaps his best one, Lone Wolf McQuade. This film blended kung fu with the Western genre and is credited as a major influence on the hit TV Western Walker, Texas Ranger, which starred Chuck Norris in his most iconic role. After working together on Enter the Dragon, director Robert Clouse and actor Jim Kelly teamed up once again, this time for a blaxploitation martial arts movie called Black Belt Jones. This movie focused on a karate champ who must use his martial arts skills to defend his dojo from the mob. Jim Kelly continued his impressive run with other similar martial arts roles in 3 the Hard Way, Black Samurai, and Hot Potato, a sequel to Black Belt Jones. Kelly's movies would prove to be a major inspiration to a number of other blaxploitation films over the next few years. Kelly eventually left the acting world to pursue athletics, and he actually became a USTA ranked pro tennis player. In over 100 years of cinema, there has been an endless amount of genres from which to choose, and some might say The Last Dragon attempts to include all of them. The Last Dragon was another blaxploitation martial arts movie, but was also a supernatural, comedy, dance, adventure musical. The film was produced by Motown Records founder Berry Gordy, and as such, the film was loaded with songs, including DeBarge's hit single, Rhythm of the Night. The star of the film, Timac, had no acting experience, but did have a background in martial arts. Despite the unusual blend of genres, the movie was well received and doubled its budget. Fun fact, the similarly titled Disney movie, Raya and the Last Dragon, makes a reference to this film.
The glow! You always said that
when you reached the final level, you would know it by the appearance of a sublime glow all over your body.
You're glowing.
I got the glow!
If you're enjoying this video and would like to support our channel, please head to our online shop, shop.80semporium.com, for some exclusive 80s merch you won't find anywhere else. Now, most of the films we've mentioned so far feature Kung Fu, which is a martial art that comes from China. But in America, Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris had not only helped start a Kung Fu craze, but a newfound interest in all forms of martial arts. Anxious for more, American filmmakers next looked toward martial arts from other countries, such as Japan. Enter karate. If you live in any major city in the United States, there's probably a karate studio within driving distance. And odds are, it probably wasn't there before the year 1984. After Bruce Lee, the second biggest influence of the American martial arts movie boom of the 1980s was probably The Karate Kid. The film, which had hoped to recapture the magic of Rocky, was actually based on the life of screenwriter Robert Mark Kamen, who learned martial arts as a kid in order to deal with bullies. The Karate Kid was a sleeper hit, and the 5th highest grossing film of 1984. Pat Morita, who was previously mostly known as a comedic actor, received an Oscar nomination for his role as Mr. Miyagi.
Wax on, wax off. Don't forget to breathe.
The film was a phenomenon and almost single-handedly popularized karate in the United States, as it showed both parents and kids that karate was not about violence, but about defense and discipline. The Karate Kid led to 2 direct sequels, a spin-off with Hilary Swank, a remake with Jackie Chan, an animated TV show, and of course, the immensely popular Emmy-nominated sequel series Cobra Kai, which has brought back nearly every single actor from the original trilogy to reprise their roles. Karate Kid Legends debuted in 2025, with Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan returning as characters from previous films. One similarity between most of these martial arts films was that they were led by men. But 1984's Alley Cat challenged that stereotype, focusing on the plucky Billy, who decides to take matters into her own fists after a street gang murders her grandmother.
I can't help thinking about my grandmother.
The film marked the first major role for actress Karen Manny, but it also marked her last. Shortly after Alley Cat, she retired from acting after a short 7-year career. While America was crazy for kung fu and karate, that was just the beginning of the martial arts boom in the 1980s, because Americans were about to be introduced to ninjas.
Pork rind?
Pork rind.
In part 2 of American martial arts films of the 1980s, we'll discuss the rise of the ninjutsu film in the US, as well as the man who took up the mantle as the next great American martial arts star, Jean-Claude Van Damme. We'll see you back in part 2. Don't be late. Or 50 push-ups. Thanks for watching.